Hey mamas, welcome to Mom Start Over. So, well, first of all, welcome to the channel. If you're here, this is definitely a channel for moms who are literally starting over in motherhood, whether that be emotionally, building bonds with your children and healing as a mother. You're gonna find that type of content here. My name is Miss Star once again, and I'm in school right now, about to graduate with my early childhood education degree, okay, with a specialization in child development. Since I've been in school, I developed a passion for like therapy and stuff like that, and really just like the emotional aspects of children and like relationships. And so my long-term goal I'm going to go to school for is to be a mental health counselor. So I got a little bit more school left, but okay, I'm also a stay-at-home mom of two, so this channel is going to be filled with all those types of things. Now today's video is going to be about how to overcome anger and emotional overwhelm as a mother, but maybe we'll just talk about anger for now. But the first thing I want to talk about and mention with anger is the kind of mother that I used to be. So I used to be a mom who was very impatient. I was very impatient. I expected stuff to be done a certain way, and if it wasn't being done quickly, I would get irritated. Then if any of my kids made a mistake, dropped something, broke something, made a mess, or just anything, I would get so upset, and I would just be like, how could you do this? Like, this was like, make it like it was the biggest deal in the world. Like, dropping water was like one of those things that at that time would have literally sent me over the edge. Like, it was very much like that. I also was very irritated, and I didn't really engage with my children in a loving way. I was just very, very harsh. And then I would find myself at night crying about how I was throughout the day, because I'm like, I know I don't want to be this way, but why am I like this way? Okay. So now I thank God for bringing me through that time, because now everything is way different. Like, it's much more peaceful, loving, there's grace for the children, and we have a much better relationship. But how did it get to that? So the first thing that God really began to heal me is how I overcame anger as a mother, and especially as a single mother, right? And I think whether you're a single mom or just a mom in general, as mothers, we do a lot for our children, and we think so many things or so many other things are more important than ourselves. And so we don't take adequate time for ourselves. We just go, 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 go. We don't take adequate time for God. We don't take adequate time for those things. And so just imagine every single day your heart is broken, but you're getting up. And instead of you expressing this as sadness, now the sadness is turning into anger. And this is exactly what was going on with me. And the first thing that God took me through really was healing. But the crazy part is the healing came through sitting with myself and also sitting with God, taking adequate time for myself. I did not used to take time for myself as a mom. I really, really didn't. It would be times where I did stuff for me, but like when I tell y'all, I literally only watched kids cartoons, and I'm not gonna hold y'all, like today I watch a lot of YouTube and stuff like on my phone, but I was mostly like watching kids stuff. I was only doing things at the very last minute as well. We're gonna talk about that too. But I was just very, very dissatisfied with myself internally. And because I kept going, I didn't even know what was wrong with me. And so every day I'm getting up and I'm so sorry. I need healing, but I'm hurting, and then I'm going. Now it's time to get up, get the kids up. Now it's time for school to start, all of the things. And now at this point, I'm irritated. Now I'm angry, and I'm snappy because I have something going on with me. I don't even know what it is. Can't tell anybody. Probably because you're dealing with that. You have some type of pain. You have a lot of headaches, or you might have some type of pain going on with your stomach or something, okay? So the first thing I did was start sitting with myself, though, and whether it was really early in the morning or really late at night. late at night really isn't so good because you still have to get up with your kids. But for me, I had to learn to get the time in. When I tell you that once I started sitting with myself and like just taking an hour, even just an hour or maybe a couple of hours, like throughout my morning or throughout my night before engaging with my kids, and really had time to sit down with myself. And this is before we even start talking about, doing the work of healing and allowing God to heal you. It drastically changed me as a mother and a woman, because it was a point in my life, y'all, where one, I was bigger than what I was, but also I had lost my sense of style. I wasn't doing my nails, wasn't doing my hair. I was just literally like getting up and going every single day. And then it would be times where I would get my hair done, but it would never be consistent. Like I would never consistently keep myself up together. So maybe I would do it once and then not again for like 6 months or something like that. So when I was dealing with those things, it was very hard to like even want to show up and be a mother. But as I took time with myself, it was just like, oh, well, now I feel good. Now I feel better. I can wake them up without yelling. I can wake them up without being like, hey, get up. It's time to get up, and talking all rough. I don't have to do that anymore, because now I'm taking time with myself, and that feeling to rush and feel like I got to hurry up and feel like I lost out, or if I don't move quick enough, I'm going to lose my time, is gone, because now I've had time with myself, and now I look a way that I like. Now I've poured into myself. And then also taking that time to spend with God as well too. Now for me, I'm a Christian, okay? So if you don't believe in God, that's okay, but I'm just going to add this in here. When you sit with God and you really begin to like journal, for me that was like a very big thing, and really talk and ask God like, what is going on with me? And then using your journal to like, play some little soft music or little beats or something, and just start journaling how you have been feeling. I just got a text message. Journal how you have been feeling. And when you look at what you have been feeling, you can also, talk to God about it, but look at how long you've been feeling that way, why you are feeling this way, and what would solve the issue, and what is the actual need that you have for what you're going through. And so when you're able to understand those things and you start pouring into yourself and you understand where you're actually hurting and what your biggest emotions are, that is going to help you overcome anger as a mom, because you realize like it's not personal towards your kids. And I realize that now. And obviously there are moments where it's like, some moments like when it's a lot of noise going on and stuff like that, or we're tight on time because I was supposed to do this at 8 o'clock and it's 8:15, and it's like, okay guys, come on. But it's like, it's not coming from this place of anger, and it's like, y'all didn't do this and da 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 da. Like, it's not coming from that anymore. And it's not coming from that because now I can really take time. Like I have peace with myself. And now when you have peace with yourself, here's another thing you do to overcome anger. You forgive yourself. When you forgive yourself and you become compassionate towards yourself, that's going to happen while you're sitting with yourself, and when you're sitting with God and you taking that time and really beginning to assess where you are, you're going to have to forgive yourself for some things you did wrong. Because also as a mother, you can hold on to things that don't belong to you anymore. You can literally hold on to some stuff that happened before you had kids, and when the house is quiet, you're hearing it over and over again in your mind. And you don't have to hear it over and over again in your mind, but you have to forgive yourself. So what does that look like? Journaling out some things that you feel towards yourself, where you feel like you failed as a mom, where you feel like you should have did different and you didn't, where it feels like you should have knew better, but you really didn't know. And so all these things that you feel towards yourself, whether it's about school, life, where you feel like you should be by now, how many more kids you should have had, or you should have had a baby with somebody else, or you shouldn't have had this many kids, whatever it is you feel for you. I don't know what you feel. Forgive yourself. And I want you to say to yourself, like, my name is Star, so I'll be like, I did, or this happened and this made me feel like a failure. But you know what? I forgive myself because I did not have the tools that I needed to make a better decision. Once you forgive yourself and release yourself and say, I release myself from the punishment from the punishment of feeling this way. And I will not punish myself anymore. I forgive myself. This is going to help you be compassionate towards yourself. And when you start to have compassion for yourself and you begin to learn and understand why you did certain things. Okay, I did this because I was actually in an abusive relationship. I did this because I really wanted people to like me, and I made this decision because I thought that if I did the opposite or the thing I really wanted to do, that people would be angry with me. When you are real with yourself and you understand why you did something, you can have compassion for yourself. But after you have compassion for yourself, now you get to learn the correct behavior or the correct way to think about whatever you didn't forgive yourself about, whether that's about how many kids you had or how big you've gotten or how small you've gotten or, financially, like whatever it is, you then begin to learn, and you don't keep bringing those things up and holding those things against yourself. And a lot of times as a mother, what happens is you are hypocritical, and I went through this, so it's no shade or anything like that, but you're hypocritical because you're hypocritical to your kids because you're mad at them for doing something that you always do, but because you're like saying to yourself in your head, you're so stupid, you're so dumb, because you feeling that way, right? You're telling your kids, maybe you're not calling them that, because I do not call my kids names. We don't do that. I've never done that. But still, you're saying, or you might even just express an extreme dissatisfaction, even if you're not calling them a name, because that's how you're talking to yourself. And so for all the moms overcoming anger, the biggest thing about overcoming anger isn't how do I stop getting angry? No, it's what is going on with you as the mom. You have to heal, and you have to take the time with God and with yourself and really make sure you're okay. You need that extra hour. You do. You need time by yourself. You can't just get up and go every single day with the same pain you've been carrying since you were 13 years old. I know for me personally, like I was dealing with abuse and like all these different things I was just carrying on myself in my motherhood. And then I'm like, well, God, it feels like everything is on me and everything is about me. And then all those things create an angry, selfish, bitter mother. And now you're resenting your kids, and the kids haven't done anything. And I could confidently say this today because as a stay-at-home mom, there was a point where I was like feeling behind and I was just feeling resentful. I was feeling some type of way. But once I started taking time with myself and God started to heal me, those feelings are completely gone. All glory to God, for real. They're all gone. And it's simply like when you feel good about you, you're going to feel good about being a mother. And I remember at one point, like just doing basic mother tasks I didn't like. But now I enjoy making breakfast for my kids. Like it's really cool. I like doing it. I like making them meals. I like making them lunches. Stuff I otherwise wouldn't have enjoyed. Something else to help you overcome anger with your children is, we talked about self-compassion, but also just being patient with yourself too, which kind of goes into self-compassion. But for example, when I told you guys about the water situation, the water really would send me over the edge because I grew up with parents who were like, if you made a mess, if you were too loud, it was over. It was over with. And so for me, when somebody made a mess, I was just, oh my gosh. But I would think I was in a Bible study because I was doing something one day, and I was like, somebody mentioned something about somebody spilling water and says, in another household, this might have been a really big issue, but she spilled the water, and the guy was like, yeah, it was okay. I just picked it up. And I heard that, and I was like, he just picked up the water? I mean, it wasn't a big deal. And so I had to hear people talk about certain things, like, and I realized, like, oh, they really wasn't a big deal. It was just a big deal to me or to the household that I grew up in. So when they started to spill water or make certain messes, I would clean them up without, why would you do that? Why weren't you more careful? What are you doing? Like, I would just clean it up. It's okay. It's water. I learned to say it was okay with certain things. It's okay. We all make mistakes. That's something I say to my kids a lot. Like, it's okay. We all make mistakes. If I find myself where I feel like I really want to react, I'll be like, it's okay. We all make mistakes. And I will catch myself. But you have to be patient with them. Be patient with yourself as well as you learn, as you grow, how you would want someone to be patient with you. And so you don't keep being hard on yourself, and you keep getting mad at yourself and talking crazy to yourself every time you do something wrong. If you do something wrong or you make a mistake, say it's okay. I made a mistake. Like I'm learning, I'm growing. Change the way that you speak to yourself. Okay? And a final thing I would say for overcoming anger as a mom is realizing your children are kids. Now my kids are 5 and 7, but at one point in time, like I said, I come from a lot of us who are late 20s, early 30s, we came from a generation of people who were like, leave me alone. Like, my mom is not playing with me. Like, what? Like, I'm not playing with you. I'm going to work and you're going to sit here with somebody, or you're going to go to school. That's it. Go to school, make good grades, and don't make no problems. And so for me, excuse me, for me, it was hard for me to realize that kids are going to be kids, because I was a grown-up kid. I was a for me, I didn't really enjoy much of my childhood like that. Like, I feel like I was always more grown. Like, I was doing stuff that you feel me, that most children weren't doing. So I struggled with that. And then also too, like, my daddy and them, like, if we was making noise and playing too loud, hey, they was gonna say some words, okay? And so for me, I had to learn that my kids is kids, so they're yelling because they're happy. And I remember in the past, I used to get mad. I used to be like, y'all need to be quiet, okay? Like, stop. But also too, God had to teach me, like, they just kids, and they laugh, and then now I can hear them laughing together when they happy and like playing. And it is just the blessing of God. It is just a blessing of God, because it's like, wow, I can hear them laugh and play, and I don't feel no type of way. Now sometimes if we're like with my mom, or my mom's here, and like she's working or something, and then like, okay, and she's like, hey, can you guys quiet down? Like, I'll have them quiet down, like, hey guys, let's switch activities or something. But that's mostly how to overcome anger as a mother, and especially as a single mother. But I hope this video was helpful for any mom who might be battling anger, because it feels like a never-ending cycle. It feels horrible. And for me, it was a lot of crying out to God and asking God to help me. And it also was a lot of learning myself and spending time with me and liking me. And, you know, realizing that the greatest escape isn't escaping my kids, is being with my kids and being at peace. Because if you feel like you always gotta get a break from your kids to be at peace, which we're not saying breaks are bad, but if that's your only time where you feel like the mental escape, or you feel at peace, or you feel happy about it, that's not the primary goal. You don't want your children to feel like, oh, well, she's better if we're not here. No, we want to be loving moms. So once again, my name is Miss Star. Welcome to Mom Start Over. This is just my first video. This is an unedited video. I think I'm gonna post the videos unedited on here, just to be real. And guys, you see this back here? I have the little ABC chart up here, but we took some. I took some of them off, but I don't know what I did with them. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye. All right.